YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, bringing you some Total War Rome 2 online battles, and I'll be playing against Chadney for a couple of battles. We got matched against each other twice in a row in matchmaking, which is not entirely impossible, but not real likely either. I wasn't actually getting a ton of matches tonight, so there must not have been a ton of people online, but hey, it's Friday night, right? You're out on dates, you're out having a good time, you're living it up, I hope. Some of us are playing Total War Rome 2, but that's okay. I guess Air's married, so at least I took care of business before then. So we are at the Battle of Armavir. Chadney has chosen Syracuse with an army of hoplites and a couple of Samnite warriors, companion cav, 4 mercenary Balearic slingers, 2 javelmen, and a picked hoplite general. For myself, on either flank, I have 1 Carthaginian cav, 1 companion cav, not companion cav. Thus, again, to help me explain, this is a cavalry unit that comes from the Italian region of Campania, not the royal bodyguard of Alexander. I know I've said this before, just trying to get it across because I probably created some confusion in the way that I pronounced it. I've got 5 Libyan infantry, 2 Libyan hoplites, 4 Cretan archers, and then my general is on an African war elephant. So, let's see, where is my general? Huh. I guess this is your Carthaginian general. Why couldn't they put, like, the Hannibal skin in here? Looks quite plain for a general. Not as decorated up as typically they would be. Like, I'll bet the general in this picked hoplite unit looks slightly better as well. Let's see, so that guy's the standard bearer. This must be the general here because he's carrying a sword. I guess all of them are pretty weak sauce. Maybe they need to bring in some of the campaign generals. So Chadney was telling me that he's relatively new. Didn't think that he was going to stand a good chance in this battle. We'll see how he does. We'll give him some advice too, based on what happens here, or we'll give me some advice based on what happens. We'll see. So a couple of his units just pop out of hiding. It's his 2 companion cav. And to be quite honest, because of the stupid bug, I had seen his forces pre-deployment. It's a bug that really needs to be addressed, and hopefully it will be addressed in the upcoming update. So we'll see. It's been brought to CA's attention, I believe, on multiple occasions and for several patches. Not sure why it hasn't been addressed. It's one of the few things in my mind that kind of keeps the multiplayer from being completely fantastic on Rome 2. Because it makes it harder to be competitive when you can see the enemy army coming. If the bug's going to continue to exist, they at least need to change it to where both players can see each other. But preferably they can fix it. So I focus fired my Cretan archers on these javelin men. I want them out of the way so my elephants can operate freely. And under a hail of missile fire, my opponent decides to push the engagement. So personally, I think this was a mistake on his part. Number one, it allowed my cavalry to catch him and then be reinforced by hoplites, which will help ensure a victory for me. And the thing is he actually had superior skirmishing power, I think. Well, if not superior, equal. He could have skirmished down my my Cretan archers completely with his Balearic slingers, and should have gone ahead and done so. Yeah, yes, I could have chased after him and gone for an infantry engagement, but you can see here, if I do go for an infantry engagement, it's going to quickly sway in my favor, as my Libyan infantry are more than capable of cutting through hoplites. If his hoplites had gone into a hoplite phalanx formation, it would have helped. They're numerous, and some of them could have flanked around while I was fighting them from the front. So that's one way to use hoplites to try and go against infantry, if you have enough numbers of them to do so. Otherwise, going head-on with sword infantry like that is going to be pretty much suicide. My cav's already behind his line. He does good, though, at chasing me off with some mercenary Samnite warriors and some picked hoplites, and here I accidentally even take a javelin barrage from his mercenary Samnite warriors. But I go ahead and pull away. My general is now around the flank, though, and this is going to be some serious problem, as my opponent's javelin men are not here to do anything about this. And you can see the morale penalty taking its toll. Hoplite shattering with nearly 100 men left. The elephant fear and outflanking is just enormous. And then when he turned his back to me with these Samnite warriors, I charged him with my mercenary companion cav in flying wedge formation. And you can see it knocked over his entire unit, and they're all getting back up off the ground, badly bloodied from such a heavy charge. And his Samnite warriors will get destroyed by my cavalry. I was able to win the fight on both flanks, and my elephants quickly mopped up his hoplite line here that was engaged with my Libyans. My Libyans could have finished that on their own, would have taken a while. But yeah, as you can see, things going well here. Used my Carthaginian cav to pin down his picked hoplites, along with my Libyan infantry. This will keep them busy, and again, with my elephants behind him, it just causes a mass rout. especially due to the army losses at that point. Yeah, Campanian Cav is brutal against swordsmen, just brutal. So let's give my opponent some advice here. Your army probably wasn't the best to face Carthage, but see, that's a challenge because Carthage can bring a ton of different armies. And to be quite honest, I think you're at a disadvantage picking Syracuse against Carthage, but hey, the game is for fun. Pick the faction you want. I'm a big fan of pick the faction you want, but if you're more concerned with winning or putting up a better fight when you're new, which you don't need to be because the game doesn't have to be competitive like that, but if you are, pick a faction like Rome or Egypt or the Seleucids, which are a little more powerful, and that will help you more in the beginning until you get a better feel for the game. But if you wanted to pick Syracuse, they're certainly capable of opposing Carthage. I brought these Cretan archers, which are very capable skirmishers, and head-to-head with those Balearic slingers, it would be a very close fight. But you would have definitely been better off to gun ahead and kill as many of my archers as you could, because as you can see here, they were able to get a number of kills on your men, and using these guys to whittle mine down would have at least prevented them from being useful. It would have left you in a predicament, though, as you would have needed these javelin men to deal with my elephants. I would have kept these guys in the very back, used your slingers to whittle my archers down to pretty much nothing. At that point, I wouldn't have had enough ammo left to threaten your infantry. Your infantry outnumbers my own by 3 units, which means you could have tried to surround. The challenge was going to be from a cavalry standpoint. I have elephants as well. Your infantry surround would have been hard to pull off with the African war elephants, but that's where you would have had to try to use these javelin men. It would have been a difficult task. I think from an army standpoint, I'm trying to think, a Syracusan player would be better off here to, let's think, if you're going to play against Carthage, I think you'd be better off to just come extremely missile heavy, bring probably 4 Campanian Cav, just a few cheap infantry, and then I would bring a ton of citizen Cav as well. And the citizen cav could be useful in pinning down sword infantry or hitting them from behind, and basically just make your army a little more mobile, because your infantry doesn't stand a chance of going toe-to-toe with Carthage. It's just not going to happen. So as Syracuse, you would want to play to your strengths, which would be skirmishing and the heavy melee cav and the Campanians, and then the cheaper citizen cav. So that would have been the route that I would have taken. Would it have worked? Not necessarily. It just depends. Elephants are kind of hard to deal with as Syracuse. You'd need to bring some archers or more light peltist or something like that. But in any case, good game. Thanks for playing. Hopefully my advice will help you out a little bit here. But just try and consider what the balance is from one faction against another when you make your army choice. You never know what people are going to bring, and so I make the same mistakes. A lot of time I bring a crummy army that's not real well suited to fight who I'm up against. It happens. Nothing to be ashamed of. It's always a learning experience, but I just figured I'd throw in some advice. I really appreciate you playing the game. It was a pleasure to meet you, and I'll see you all back in the next battle soon. Whoops. Didn't mean to take a screenshot. Meant to turn off the recording. See you later.